Welcome to Workout Master episode 13. This is Ruben.
This is Aaron.
And we're going to talk today about exercise. Wow.
Yeah.
We got to it on the 13th episode. We decided to talk about exercise.
Lucky 13, we decided that it was not time to put, the nutrition and the lifestyle coaching to the side, because that's not what we're gonna do. But it was time to start incorporating some of the stuff having to do with exercise, because there was a few posts in regards to exercise and what should I do, how to go about it, what is our take on it, and that's what we kind of try to do. Clarify some of the things that we see on an everyday basis that will work to your advantage, and in some cases, unbeknownst to you, it might work to your disadvantage.
Absolutely. So the most common question we get in the gym is people walk in and they want to use machines or free weights.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the biggest thing that you see when you walk into the gym is the machines.
Yeah, and I remember starting up, 13 years ago, more or less, when I would see the people that they were doing the sales of the memberships, that they would emphasize to people, well, we have this much free weights and we have these much machines, and people will literally walk into the gym looking for machines on purpose, which it didn't make a lot of sense to me at the time, but that was the general consensus. That's what people do. When they pay a high premium for a membership at a gym, they want to go inside of the place and see a warehouse full of machines wall to wall, like that's going to be the answer to the physique that they're looking for.
Yeah. Anytime I worked in the club, people say, hey, how come you have so much machines? And because otherwise, if we didn't have so much machines, we wouldn't sell memberships.
My friend John has a studio, a personal training studio, and when people walk inside and they ask, what is all the cardio equipment? He says, go downstairs and follow the sun until you find it. So he has them walking around the block, which is, the purpose of doing cardio. Walking, running, on your feet. Not any type of a machine, not chasing a belt in a treadmill, not making believe that you're doing, cross-country skiing, which is not. There's nothing even remotely similar. But that's the idea, to utilize the resources that we have free weight oriented, and to explore some of the myths and some of the dangers and the downfalls to using a lot of machine based oriented exercises.
So let's figure it out. Do our listeners will benefit more from free weights, or they'll benefit more from machines? Because ultimately, neither one is better or worse.
Right.
It's how you use it.
And that's a blanket statement to say that neither one is better or worse, but there's going to be positive, negative things about using both.
Exactly.
Right?
So let's talk about, let's say, machines first. Yeah.
All right, sure.
Machines.
Okay.
So what's the benefit of a machine?
In my opinion, and like I said before, it was a blanket statement. In my opinion, people in very early stages of their training, under any precepts, should they use machines, because it's going to be to the detriment to utilize machines, since the basis of always starting a workout program is to create flexibility, number one, stability, number two, and due to the basis of being a machine, you know that machine has fixed axis of movement, and then it's stabilized, and you're sitting down, and some of these damn machines, they even have a seat belt. Like, how out of shape do you have to be to follow this one machine that you have to put on a seat belt? It's just preposterous. So in my opinion, beginners should never use machines, regardless of what their personal trainers tell them, and I know I'm gonna probably upset and literally piss off some people. Do not use machines. And if I might say so, the worst machine that you will find in a gym is the damn Smith machine. That's a piece of garbage that should be melted and made into paperweights and just given to the members of the gym or the club or whatever it is, just to put on top of the desk.
Now, from a point of view of like functionality, if you want to be functional, obviously machines are not the way to go.
Right, unless you want to begin to move like a robot.
But let's think of benefits. The benefits, I mean, they exist for whatever reason, so ultimately there's a benefit. So if you are a bodybuilder and you want to build up the mass, and you're ready to sacrifice everything else around it for the mass, the chances are machines are for you. There's definitely a benefit.
You see it your way and I see it my way, and that's fine. and don't get me wrong, there is a purpose to use machines, and I'm going to give you an example of this. If you're working with a really good athlete, once you have really trained them a lot and his system is pretty much shot and he still has some energy to actually give him an extra push, I would put in a machine as opposed to taking the chance of injuring him with some free weights once the guy is very fatigued. But I'm talking about, this is an athlete, this is not an everyday person. If an everyday person such as you and I get actually fatigued after doing a workout with free weights, means time to stop. You already did and accomplished what you had to do for that day.
Exactly.
However, an athlete always has certain demands and certain needs that they have to be met, and they have to constantly be overcoming the obstacles that they might see. So in that case, at the very end, maybe the last exercise or the last 2 exercises of their program, I might have them switch from going into free weights, going into machine. And that's the only time that I will literally do that. Other than a person having a neurological disorder, and obviously they have problems stabilizing their bodies, and then they have to create some type of push, pull, lunge, squat, you name the exercise, you name the pattern that they have to use in an assisted mode, because otherwise they will get hurt. But unless you're neurologically damaged, or you're a really good athlete and the last...
damaged, challenged.
Both, because it's going to be neurological damage and challenge at the same time due to the damage. Then I don't use free.
All right, so not to get too technical, obviously with the machines there's a benefits, and the benefit is if you want to get something done, right, and you cannot accomplish any other way by machine, probably machine will be a way to go.
Perhaps by means of isolation training, such a
exactly
would do.
But remember, anytime you're going to do it, you're going to sacrifice stability and other things, mobility and other things.
Agility, you know, there's other factors, you know, if you're an athlete, then there's not a whole lot of sense of using
If you're an athlete on your hammer strength machines, which most of athletes are, a lot of times, unfortunately guys, I think you guys wasting time.
I think they're pieces of garbage, all put together.
The machines.
Those machines, hammer strength in particular, and not that I have anything against them, I just don't see the functionality of it, especially when a machine is designed for a guy that's, you know, 3 times my size. And even at my height, almost 5'10", if I sit in a hammer strength, whatever, chest press or whatever, you can see that all the levers and everything, they're way oversized for my body. There's no way to adjust them other than the seat. So you look at every degree of motion that your body has, and that's an adjustment that should be taken into consideration, and those machines do not allow for those adjustments to be made. So, garbage. What else can I say?
Okay, that's the machines. Now, free weights. Free weights, I think, personally, is the way to go.
Yes.
It is important not to just jump into it,
no, because
but to understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's the biggest drawback of a free weights is the possibility of injury.
Yeah, they might fall on top of you and crush your head, your shoulder, your arm.
Be careful when you do it. It's not a joke. It is a serious business.
Right.
But the benefits are tremendous.
And that's one of the problems sometimes that we face, not particularly myself, but in general, when people use machines, they get a full sense of the strength that they have. When they go on everyday or activities of daily living and they try to pick up a weight that they think that equates or is less than what they used to move in a machine, they go right ahead and they realize that they don't have the stabilizers, right, to stabilize their spine, their hip, whatever, you know, joint might be challenged, and they go ahead, pick up that weight, drag it, pull it, lift it, or whatever, and they get hurt. Because by fault of design, the machines do not provide a stabilization of the inner unit. You don't have to use it. You're sitting down, you're laying down, you're always being supported, chest, back, shoulders, whatever is supported. But when you go into free weights, you have to provide the stabilization. If you inner unit and your outer unit, they're not working together, the chances of an injury skyrocket.
Exactly. So free weights, the benefits of free weights, you can actually use your body the way the Mother Nature meant you to use the body.
Absolutely.
So you can go on all directions, all plane of motion.
Absolutely.
You can challenge your body as a system, not as a muscle specific.
Right.
So you can use the muscle movements rather than muscle groups.
Very important to see that. Thanks for making that point, Aaron. It's very important that we actually create our training programs, our exercise programs, in base of movement, not of isolating joints. The body does not move. A movement that we create, for example, pitching a ball, is not an isolated movement of certain joints in a certain rhythm in a line time continuum. It's about creating several movements, activating several patterns of movement, like for example the squat, the lunge, the twist, the bend, the push, the pull, and gait, and put them all together as a functional unit and creating that desired outcome. So it's very important to make this clear, to train movements and not to train isolated muscles. Unless, once again, you want to start moving like a robot.
Exactly. That's why the reason why a lot of times people work out on the machines and they move like robots because they don't really necessarily have patterns of movement.
Right, there's no good brain muscle integration.
So the bicep is strong, the tricep is strong, but they're not connected together.
Right.
So a lot of muscles are strong, but they're not activating as a unit.
Right.
So what do you do when you use a lot of free weights is you use a body the way the Mother Nature meant you to use it.
Yes.
So you learn the combinations.
Right.
You use all kinds of different movements in conjunction with the bones, with the muscles, with your nervous system. You challenge in many other different directions.
The chain mechanism of extension or flexion, rotation, or whatever it might be is integrated. Everything works as a whole unit, not independent one joint of the other. That's how injuries happen when you try to move a weight that you might be really strong doing that overhead press, but then the spine cannot support the weight. You slide, start, side bending a little bit, and before you know it, you create, pressure in your spine that can create other.
So in order for our listeners to start using free weights, I think it's important to understand some benefits and drawbacks.
Number one.
So you already, go ahead.
Don't pick anything that you cannot put down gracefully.
That's a good one. So if you feel like you're a macho man and you need to lift a very heavy weight, stay away from it for a little bit until you actually can lift it.
There's nothing more annoying than the typical jackass, because there's no way to describe it. They're bench pressing or whatever, and they grab the dumbbells and just boom, just drop it.
Drop it, absolutely. I think it's ridiculous. What other thing? For me personally, when you use free weights, I think it's important to learn the basics of basic movements.
Right.
So don't jump into it. Maybe search for good information. We're definitely going to post a simple exercise techniques. But it's important to know the basics of how to do basic movement and how you can actually do that movement. If it's too complicated, you can do it easier.
Yeah, descend it.
Yeah. So you do descending. Or if it's too easy, you can ascend. So you get a little bit more complicated.
Right.
So technique is important. Don't just jump. Look around first. Ask questions. If you're somewhere where there's trainers, decent trainers, ask them. Yeah. Okay. What else?
What else?
So ultimately, machines have their benefits. Weight training has its own benefits with the free weights. Just be very specific in what you're trying to accomplish, and use it for your advantage.
And let's make one clarification when it comes to machines. All cable machines, as you well know, they're considered free weights because they have an ample range of motion. You can move in any direction. You can push, you can pull, you can change directions quickly, and it will behave as a free weight, not as a machine. Obviously, when you have a C.H.E.K, chest press, it only moves in one direction. I don't care whether you want to push up, down, or pull on it. It's only going to go in one direction because it has a fixed axis. A cable machine, you can grab it and you can pull it overhead, you can drag it across, you can change direction halfway through the movement. So it's considered a free weight in that sense, just by the way it behaves.
So if you're a beginner, I would say it's very important to learn very simple movements and learn how to use your body. Ultimately, your body is the #1 free weight out there. If you don't know how to use your body first, don't grab anything around you.
Just work with body weight.
Just your body weight in many cases is enough.
Which, by the way, is a free weight.
It is an absolutely free weight.
And at the time, it's the most complex and most advanced machine there is. How's that for interesting? You're a free weight and you're a machine at the same time. I never thought of that way.
All right. So this is it for free weights versus machines. You have anything else?
That's it.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a beautiful day.
Post comments, questions, concerns. We'll answer them all if we have the time.
Absolutely. Take care.
Have a good one.